there. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are doing well. And we're going to get into a bit of an update. I guess it will probably be the final say so at this point. I don't foresee any more information coming out about this story. But I definitely wanted to give an update because I was curious to know what was the end result of the situation. So now many of you may remember this gentleman here who is the Army first class or Army private, Travis King, who apparently had thought it would be a good idea to run across the demilitarized zone, DMZ, also known as crossing over from South Korea to North Korea. And I believe he was running from some conduct issues that were requiring him to be sent back to the States from South Korea. So now, if you had been like myself, as I'm a veteran, and I could not believe what I was seeing when it exploded all over CNN, what had taken over and what had happened in this situation. And from what I can recall, I believe it was August 2023 time frame, we got the breaking news that this gentleman had decided to run across the DMZ line, which we all know was a big no-no. And so a lot of conversation obviously was had on the news in regards to him being held in North Korea, but I didn't hear anything that happened as an end result. And apparently, amongst all of the many things that are going on right now in the news coverage, this outcome of this situation actually was shared about a few days ago, I believe. So I wanted to go ahead and bring it to you if you were also interested in knowing how the situation wrapped up in regards to what punishment situation was going to be associated with this particular action from this gentleman. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight on into it. So now, according to NBCnews.com, it shares that Travis King ran from South Korea across the demilitarized zone and into North Korea. And I'm sorry, it was July 18, 2023, not August. He was later released by Korea. And I believe that might have been a month ago or so, or a month after it or so. So this sharing should probably give some more details in that as a refresher for us as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Travis King, the U.S. soldier who ran across the demilitarized zone, also otherwise known as DMV zone, and into North Korea last year, was sentenced Friday to a prison term that amounts to the time he has already served. King had pleaded guilty to 5 charges, 1 count of desertion, 1 count of assault on a non-commissioned officer, and 3 counts of disobeying a lawful order. He was sentenced by a military judge to 12 months in prison for desertion and 1 month on each of the 4 other counts. King has served 338 days already. So defense attorneys noted that King had spent 63 days in North Korea in addition to his time served in the U.S. King was also dishonorably discharged, something sought by the prosecution, and King and his attorneys had sought a bad conduct discharge. With time already served and credit for good behavior, Travis is now free and will return home, King's attorney Frank Rosenblatt said. King, a U.S. private, ran across the DMZ, separating South Korea and communist North Korea on July 18, 2023. He was on a tour group in the Panmunjom, South Korea, when he crossed the fortified zone and entered North Korea, where he was detained. King was returned to the U.S. by North Korea in September of that year, following what the Department of Defense had called a multi-week diplomatic effort. The outcome of today's court-martial is a fair and just result that reflects the seriousness of the offenses committed by now Private King, and will promote good order and discipline with the U.S. Army by deterring soldiers from committing similar offenses in the future. Prosecutor Major Allison Montgomery with the Army's Office of Special Counsel was quoted as saying in an Army publication. King had been in the Army since January 2021. He was being sent back to the U.S. from South Korea after violating part of the Joint Security Agreement and after completing a punishment there, a senior U.S. administration official had said around the time of the incident. He had been escorted by military police as far as they could go, a security checkpoint at Incheon Airport, a commercial airport, about an hour and a half from the DMZ. But instead of continuing alone to the gate and flying back to the U.S., King tagged along with a group that had just arrived and was heading for Panmunjom, the official said. King's defense attorneys argued that King was encouraged to enlist in the Army by a recruiter and that he had trouble adjusting and experienced incidents of racism in his unit. King, who is Black, wrote in a letter that his unit was unhappy and recounted racist remarks like, "Smile, King, we can't see you." The incident occurred 5 decades after another U.S. soldier, James Dresnok, defected to North Korea in 1962 as he was being threatened with a court martial. Dresnok had, according to his sons, was in North Korea when he had died of a stroke in 2016. Correction. Now, they had shared previously, and now this was as of September 22nd, had shared that a previous version of the story had misstated Travis King's military rank and that he is now considered a U.S. Army private and not a private second class, which I believe I referenced it as private as I saw that correction before sharing. So, yeah, this was such a crazy story. And I do recall the 1962 situation as well. And of course, it was just one of those things that when I saw that on the news, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. This is going to be an international incident for sure. Luckily, nothing else came about the situation as a result of the actions of Travis King. It's apparent there was a lot of things going on. I don't think that we have obviously all of the details of everything that's scenarioed around that. What we do know that apparently he had shared that he was dealing with obviously racism and difficulties within his unit and maybe acted out in a situation. We don't know whether or not it was a provoked situation or whatever the case may be. Could have been. So, at this point, I am glad that he is not there. He is apparently back home and he is now going to be able to move forward whatever his life is going to be from this point. It's not always an easy situation to accustom yourself to military life. So it definitely takes a lot of things working in favor of for that to be a good example for those who actually do join. It's a great honor for many to actually do what is considered national defense, of everyone in the protection of this country. And with that should be held great respect. So as a veteran myself, I again said I felt this story was quite troubling. I talked to a couple of my friends as well, who are also veterans, and we all felt the same way about the situation, and we had hoped for his safe return. And so it was, very encouraging that did take place and that things transpired as they needed to through the court-martial system. And we are now able to continue to move forward in life. So that being said, I just wanted to share that quick update with you. If you were kind of wondering what happened to that story, it kind of was definitely a big story at the time and should have remained a big story all the way up until the point of end. And then it quietly seemed to have been addressed. And so since I shared that sharing, and if you were like myself, I wanted to know what had happened and how this was going to go from this point. And now we have it there. So I do hope that you appreciate just knowing the update to that story. Again, I don't know if there's going to be more that's going to come of this situation. I haven't heard anything else. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on it, of course, as this being a, a very, what is the word I'm looking for? In the days now, in this time now, that's not the phrase I'm looking for, but just this should not be a commonplace saying. So definitely I'm going to be keeping my eye out for any more updates regarding the story, but I kind of feel that this is probably going to be the wrap up that was the most hopeful for all involved. So that being said, I hope that you appreciate the sharing. I think at this point, I'm going to bid you adieu. I do hope that you have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is that you're watching this video. And of course, if you are new here, definitely go ahead and subscribe and be part of the family. I would so appreciate it, and I would so love to have you. So thank you very much for being here. To those who've already been part of the family, thank you as well. I appreciate you taking the time. And of course, I appreciate your viewing and listening support. Make sure you do keep your all notification bells on. If you do have any, comments or sharings that you would like to provide about this story, go ahead and please feel free to place those down in the comment section below. I'm definitely keeping them respectful, of course, because, we want to be able to have that conversation back and forth. It's a very serious thing that took place. And just am so glad to know that there was some sense of an end that maybe will be beneficial for him as well. So therefore, making sure that we are just, keeping that in mind, the challenges that people do deal with, serving our country. So that being said, definitely want to just make sure you keep those comments respectful. And I know you will, and I appreciate that in advance. So that being said, I think I will bid you adieu. Again, keeping those all notification bells on for any future videos, so that way you don't miss them and we can have more conversation to talk about it, as I love to be sharing my thoughts, and I love to know yours as well. So again, take care, and until next time, bye.